there, watch lovers. Laz here with another watch review, this time on a very controversial brand and a very controversial timepiece overall. But I think this will be an interesting review nonetheless, so stay tuned for this one. There you have it, guys. The Pagani Designe Chronograph Sport. So this is basically a Rolex Daytona Homage. There are some things that they got right and there are some things that they got wrong. And we'll get into that in this review. Okay, so let's start off with the things that they did a pretty good job with on this timepiece. And of course, as usual, we'll start off with the specs on this. This is a 40mm case. You have a case thickness of about 10 millimeters. So we'll show you that there, and we'll talk a little bit more on how they were able to accomplish that case thickness. In terms of the bezel insert, this is a ceramic bezel insert. You do get a sapphire crystal on this, and the movement that's in here is probably the most interesting part about this timepiece. This is a Seiko Meca quartz movement, right? So that, in my opinion, is probably the highlight of this watch, and the reason for that is, one, we all know that Seiko make high-end movements. They're probably the biggest competition to any Swiss movement out there. That's not Swiss made, of course. And then you also take into account the fact that quartz movements are going to be the most accurate you can get in any timepiece. And then also, this watch has a feature that not other quartz chronographs have, and that is when you activate this the chronograph hand. If you take a close look there, see if we can get this to focus, and hopefully the glare is not preventing you from seeing this. There we go. So if you look closely at that chronograph hand, you see how it sweeps almost as if it was an automatic movement, when in reality it's not. And that's due to the movement that's in here that allows this chronograph hand to kind of sweep throughout the dial there. As far as the aesthetics on this timepiece, I feel like they did a really good job portraying the design of the Rolex, the Rolex Daytona. With some minor things that they kind of dropped the ball on, in my opinion. Even though the Seiko Meca quartz features a date window, or features a date function, I think they should have did without that date function, simply because chronographs are usually busy dials to begin with, and I think the reason why the Rolex Daytona is such a popular timepiece is because they do that. They execute the chronograph dial excellent. It's not too busy, it's just perfect. And that's kind of the situation with this one. Had they kept that date window out of the equation, then you would have had a very, very nicely executed dial on this timepiece. So yeah, you also get on the as one of the complications, you do get a 24-hour complication, which is a part of the chronograph functions you get here. You get a, I believe this is a minutes. I never understood why they have an additional window. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because the chronograph wheel is basically, or the chronograph hand is used for timing of laps and so on and so forth. And in this case, that additional window you have, or that additional complication, is for the minutes. So that makes sense. Overall, the finish, I think the polish on this watch is very, very nicely done. This does usually come with, so when I got this came with a bracelet. The bracelet is not bad, but it just doesn't feel like it belongs to this watch. And that's kind of the reason why I took it off and I threw it on a rich watch band strap. Okay, let's talk about something else that they did correctly on this watch, in my opinion. And let's just, let's backtrack here a bit. So I have not had the Rolex Daytona in hand, but just looking at other reviews and pictures that I've seen, I have a general idea of what that watch looks like in terms of the construction, the design. But one of the things I feel they did right on this watch was the pushers. So if you take a close look there at the pushers on this watch, and see if I can get this to focus. There we go. So the pushers are actually screw down pushers. You have to unscrew them to be able to push them. And it activates now once you activate the chronograph, or the part where you activate that chronograph, the pusher's a little mushy, and I feel like there's not a tactile feeling to it when you push it down. Now when you reset the chronograph, on the other hand, you get a nice substantial click back when you press that, and in some cases it's very audible. So I think that's they did a fairly good job there. All things considered, this timepiece can be had for roughly around 80 bucks on AliExpress, if you're willing to wait. If not, if you're not willing to wait, then you can pick it up on Amazon for about 120. So it's kind of, you know, a toss up on the price there. I did pay for this one about 80 bucks, picked it up on AliExpress, and it took me about 7 weeks, 6 weeks to get it. Ridiculous time frame. It's the only reason I don't shop on AliExpress that often, because yes, they have a large amount of, or they have a large selection of watches on there, you know, different kinds of brands, but it just takes forever to get your items. And in some cases, you know, you'll order an item that shows available in the US, and then a week and a half later they send you a message stating that, oh no, we don't have it in stock, but we can send it from our China factory. And that, I think that's kind of a bait that they're using, because it's already happened to me 3 times. So but yeah, anyways, I digress. Moving on here to my take on this watch. I think this is an excellent timepiece. You know, Pagani Designe, it's a very controversial brand for obvious reasons. You know, you don't truly know what you're going to get with these timepieces, because the QC on these are not, it's, you know, it's not the best. But again, you know, you got to also consider the fact that, you know, these watches can be had for under 100 bucks. A lot of their timepieces are under $100, and you do get a lot of value with most of them. You know, they have good movements in most cases. They have sapphire glass. They have ceramic bezel inserts. The only ones that I feel they, and not to get too much off topic here, but the only Pagani designs that I feel are an absolute stay away from is the Pagani Design Submariner homages. Those things have terrible loom. All Pagani really do have terrible loom, but that particular one has terrible loom. The size is just completely off. You know, a Submariner should never exceed more than 40 millimeters, and or even 41 max. But these things are 43, way too big for a Submariner. And then also the loom sucks, and then the bezel action is horrendous. I mean, the amount of play you get in it, it's a 60 bezel, it's a 60 click unidirectional bezel on most of them. The bezel insert has terrible acrylic paint on it, which over time you'll notice that acrylic paint chips off. So, you know, I actually have one. I'll dump a review soon on the channel, so you guys can kind of get an idea of what I'm referring to here. But I mean, overall, I think this is probably one of the best Pagani designs that they offer, simply because of the movement, the construction. I think overall this is a great timepiece, and I highly recommend it. Now, if you are looking for a timepiece that you have the peace of mind of not having to worry about, you know, quality control and warranty, this is not the brand to go for. And I emphasize on that, this is not the brand to go for. You know, you can put your money elsewhere at around the same price range, get a great branded, a great brand. You know, the quality control on those brands are going to be a lot better, such as Seiko, Orient, and I preach this a lot, and it's because it's just, there's no denying it. You know, Seiko is king of quality control. Don't get me wrong, on occasion you have some of their watches that have misaligned bezels, but that's a whole nother topic. Alright, so there you have it, guys. This is once again the review on the Pagani Design Chronograph Sport, and this is basically the Daytona Homage. So there you have it. Very nice looking timepiece overall, and I love wearing this watch. Beautiful thing about this watch is that you can dress it up with the leather strap, rubber straps, bracelets. Either way, it's going to look phenomenal. I prefer this on a more sportier band, and that's the reason why I opted for a rich watch band. Silicone strap here. Excellent strap. I may even do a review on rich watch bands. So yeah, there you have it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. If you have any comments, suggestions on reviews, go ahead and drop them below. And if I can get my hand on those watches, I'll definitely do a review. Just drop one. Just dropped a review on my channel on the Timex Weekender 38 millimeters. That was requested by a subscriber, so I went ahead and did that review. So yeah, you know, you guys drop those those suggestions, and I'll be more than happy to jump on it, and it gives me some content, give me something to do here on the channel. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. It's your host Laz. Till the next one.